Welcome to another episode of the Love and Reality Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, I continue my trek through the world of the challenge for the first time with season 2 of the Challenge USA. Episode 3 dropped earlier this evening, and now I'm going to break down all the things that happened on this week's episode. Of course, last week we saw the big ginormous battle between Tori and Jonah. And of course, Tori ending up on top. The rookies are targeting the vets. Will they be able to take another one out, or will the vets finally get an upper hand? Before we dive into this week's episode, thank you guys so much for listening to the Love and Reality Podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, I do release episodes on all podcast platforms, but the challenge is going to be released exclusively here on YouTube. So if you're looking for a podcast, The Love and Reality can be found anywhere you listen to podcasts. Currently, I'm tackling The Temptation Island and season 5. As that is winding down, you'll be hearing me cover the upcoming season of The Ultimatum that is coming out on Netflix on August the 23rd. I have some interviews with the cast coming out from The Ultimatum as well. So very excited to dive into that show. But without further ado, let's jump right back in to the Challenge USA Season 2, Episode 3. We come right in with Tori and Amanda, shockingly enough, having words, screaming and yelling at each other. Tori's upset because Amanda put her on the chopping block. Amanda just kind of gives it back to her, and she's like, we're not friends, and she doesn't understand why she's mad at her. She wasn't the only person to put her on the chopping block. But while that is happening, Team Big Brother / Survivor is having the time of their lives, listening to the veterans at each other's throat. Chanel talks about how her room is the secret garden, and their plan is to get rid of the vets. Desi, Tiffany, Chanel, Michaela are all in this group together with her, and they are just talking about how one by one they plan on getting rid of the vets. Bananas is talking up with Wes and Corey. Corey mentions he wants to trust them, but they have never had his back. Paulie talks about how he is here to win, but is a changed man because he went to therapy. That's fantastic. One of the things that I loved about this episode is the highlight and the focus of Paulie, and seeing that, again, this is my first trek into this world of the challenge, but seeing some background, understanding some background about Paulie and seeing that growth. You know what I mean? Therapy is something that's incredible. It's not easy to come out and say, hey, that's something that I did. So good for him. Good for him getting back on the right track. Tori is talking with him. She's excited to chat with him and see this growth in him, but also excited to see if she can have him on his size. On her side. We got our first challenge of the show, who's going to determine which two people will go up on the block. The competition is called Capsized, is the name of the game. 8 boats, 8 buoys, and each person will have to swim to the boat. They will have to flip it over and see the flag key on the bottom of the boat. Then each member will have to swim to the buoy. At least one person from each team is going to have to retrieve a flag, to which they will have to put it in the order of which they see on the bottom of the boat. Once they have done that, rush to the dock, and the team with the most right in the fastest time will win the competition and is safe from elimination. The red team was up first, and they kind of had some early struggles back and forth. Tiffany saying she can't swim, so they had to push her and pull her across as that happened. Out the gate, the red team was working very well together, with Paulie kind of taking that lead. Johnny knows his legacy's on the line, so if they can't win this competition, that he knows he is on that chopping block. Michelle has fumbled the bag in remembering the flag order, causing them to be delayed on time, which we'll find out here in a few minutes was very critical to the overall picture. The blue team was up next. They're looking good. The vets are feeling the pressure to perform again. Aquaman, aka Fessy, is out here knocking things out of the ballpark. And of course, the green team struggles pretty much the entire time. And it went to show, as the winning team, we had the green team get 19 of the 20 flags right. The blue and the red team both got 20 right. But it came down to the time, which the blue team completed the mission in 36 minutes and 12 seconds, while the red team did it in 43 minutes, which means the blue team had won. Who's to know if that little hiccup by Michelle of her fumble in the bag of remembering the order ended up costing the red team the win. Obviously, the blue team is happy, but Corey is trying to make some moves because he knows that everybody has a target out for these veterans, and he wants to protect himself as he knows the vets are a sinking ship. They sit at the table, and Tori said they want to take out the vets, so hopefully she gets to shift the narrative. But it doesn't matter what anybody says, as Alyssa is taking command at this table. And we see Bananas. Literally everyone was voting for Bananas here. But when it came down to it, we had 2 votes for Monty, 1 vote for Desi, 1 vote for Michelle, 2 votes for Tiffany, 4 for Amanda, and then, of course, we had 6 for Bananas. So in this process, Corey kind of makes it known, makes his allegiance to his team right here known, where he picks Amanda and Bananas, and Tori is sitting there, and she is furious at what he did. Tori comes back to snitch on Corey really, really fast to talk to Bananas and Wes. Bananas is pissed off about Corey stabbing him in the back. Corey walks in, and Bananas and him have some massive word. Corey said he's here to win. And this is the thing, like, you know, in my short time here, big fan of Bananas, interesting to see his gameplay. Obviously, he's going to have this big target on his back. He's won this thing. He's a veteran. Everybody knows his leadership, his ability to, you know, work his way to the top. So it shouldn't be surprising to him that they're targeting the rest of these veterans, because one by one, if you knock out all the good people, you know, all the veterans that have done this before, then it's just a bunch of rookies trying to go to battle, trying to win this competition. So Corey said he's here to win, doesn't really care what Bananas has to say. He came to give shit to Fessy. Fessy wasn't hearing it either. And then Bananas tells Fessy that you are dumber than you look. We see Bananas delivering a speech to everybody, basically just, look, I like Bananas, but he was just on this rampage, rambling on and on and on and on about how everybody's against him, which, I mean, it's true. Like, we've seen the picture here. It is very, very, very true. Everybody's very adamant about knocking out all of these vets, and they're trying to go 2 for 2 in that scenario. But as that's happening, Dusty said he doesn't want to see him go. He wants to see what he can do to get him to stay. That he said that Bananas is his hero, and he wants to continue to have him on the show. Everyone is trying to talk up Paulie about how they will use him to whip out Bananas. Paulie said he doesn't know what the fucking he's thinking, but he wants to help Bananas even after everything that he has done. The voting is happening. Bananas is having a confessional. And he said it feels like he's a rookie on this season. He feels like he's in his rookie season all over again. We're back in the arena to find out who will be battling who. And you know what? When it comes down to this, what really shocked me about this episode was how many people actually ended up receiving votes here. Josh ended up with 2, which kind of surprised me. Tyler ended up with 3 votes. That didn't really surprise me. Chanel got 1 vote, which is the only vote for a woman on here. Paulie got 3 votes, and Monty got 5 votes. So that being said, obviously, we've seen in the past where the most balls in the thing can relate to the person coming out and doing battle. But then the other time we've seen somebody with a least amount of balls come out, grab one from the hopper, and they've been chosen. Now the big battle is here. The hopper has chosen Paulie, and it's Paulie versus Bananas. The game, Fire and Ice. There's 2 blocks of ice. So they're standing on top of these 2 blocks of ice. And each opponent has the arm attached to a bucket of fish guts right above them. So they're standing on this ice with boots. So it's obviously very slippery, but underneath them is this fire that lights up under them and starts to melt the ice. Now, the goal is there's some targets in the middle of the thing. You can turn the fire on and off by hitting the target. So if Banana hits the target, he turns the fire on underneath Paulie. But Paulie gets to throw back, which when he hits it back, it can go off of his and onto Johnny. Now, of course, the goal here is for the fire to end up against your opponent before the last beanbag is thrown, because at that given time, you start to slip, the ice is melting, you can no longer keep traction. Boom, your hand falls, and of course the fish guts bucket pours all over you, and you lose the game. So we see a big time battle between these two. I think if you watch this, I don't know if Bananas missed a single shot. Like, he was laser focused throwing this beanbag against this target. They literally just went back and forth, and it was incredible. Like, it was just cool. Again, these competitions, they're creative, they're definitely interesting and something cool. Nothing that we haven't seen before with the competition side of things, but it's very definitely interesting. It's easier, or it's funner to watch something like this, and you have two guys that have this long history. Again, I don't know what it is, but I do know that there's this long history between the two of these guys. So Paulie knows, stepping up onto this platform, that he has a potential of erasing all doubts. And Bananas knows that he has this target on his back, and if he can win this challenge, that he's going to come back into that house in full force and try to make everybody realize that they're picking on the wrong guy here. So with that being said, we keep battling out back and forth. It comes down to the last beanbag. We see Bananas throws his, hits the target right on the nail. The fire is burning from underneath Paulie, but Paulie has one more opportunity to do it. He throws it and misses the target. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean Paulie was going to be the guy that loses, because it's still slippery. You're still having to, hold on with your arm in the air to ensure that these fish guts don't slip out on you. But the fire provides to be too much for underneath Paulie. And then, of course, Bananas stands tall. Paulie goes out on top with Bananas embracing him, saying he was a good competitor. And it made Paulie super emotional. You could tell, and even when he talked to the camera, about how emotional it really was to watch him, to have Bananas embrace him and tell him how great of a competitor he was. The growth that we've seen, that Paulie has seen within himself, and I'm sure each of you guys watching the show has seen, has definitely been something that's pretty incredible, credible. So obviously Paulie booted off the show. That being said, Bananas now has the choice to switch teams. Now, he says that he knows that this switch is here for a reason, and that he's going to make a choice that's best for him. Sadly, the credits are going to roll, and we don't see where Banana goes. I thought it'd be interesting to see if him switch teams, but I really think that there's a strong chance that he's going to switch teams here. I think it would be kind of a good move for him. It'll be definitely interesting. The next episode of the challenge episode 4, is going to air on Sunday. Sunday night, I believe it's 9 p.m. Eastern time. Definitely going to be interesting. It's going to be available on Peacock at the same time. So I'm going to be intrigued to see how things work out amongst all of these people, because it's very competitive, and it'll be interesting to see if that's something that he really does do. If he really does switch teams. And, like I said, the show is Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern on CBS and streams on Paramount at the same time. There's going to be two new episodes each week airing up until it moves to just Thursdays on August 31st. So I'll be interested to see, if you watch this, in the comments. Let me know if you believe that Johnny is going to switch teams, or if he's going to stay where he is at. I would love to hear your thoughts, folks. Thank you guys so much for listening to watching another episode of the Love and Reality podcast, where we break down the Challenge USA Season 2. I hope that you guys join me throughout the season. This is fun. Again, I'm trying to, navigate this new world, and it's kind of cool. So that being said, thank you guys so much for listening. Please like, subscribe, comment, all those good things. And I will see you guys right here on Sunday night.